Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast. Here we are two daughters and their dad, seeking to inspire and educate you to follow your dreams of being in business by teaching you the business of being in business. The good, the bad, the humor are all parts of our unique perspective as an entrepreneurial family. Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast. I am your host, Stacey J. Dempsey, and the J is very important. It's what brings the joy. And I have with me, like always, thankfully, we have the other daughter and the dad. Say good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
And we are still practicing our social distancing. So our podcast is being taken place over Zoom. So if we have some technical difficulties, please forgive us as we continue to social distance. So we are all very excited because we have special guests with us today, the Cyr team. We have Vincent and Jane Cyr with us. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
And I do want to point out, I believe this is Jack's second guest.
He's on a roll.
He's on a roll. So we have a running joke that when we first started, Jennifer and I, we were pumping out the guests. We were lining them up, and we were like, Jack usually succeeds at every single thing he does. Well, he was like, we were pulling him along for once in life. We had to pull him along with the podcast. So you all are the second guest that Jack has had. So welcome.
Let me just say that's because you'll notice the gray hairs. There's wisdom in that strategy. I really want us to work out the kinks on your guests, so we would be more perfect than my guests. So just saying.
Just so that it's, okay, that's fine. We'll let you go with that, Jack. It's no problem. But nevertheless, we are excited to have you both with us today. We have spent a little bit of time looking at your website, learning about your business. So I know Jennifer and I spoke, briefly before the podcast started on the ride in here that we were really looking forward to talking with the both of you. Sounds like a dynamic husband and wife duo, if I say so myself.
Well,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you. Both in the business side and in our marriage.
Yeah.
So we've been married for maybe 36 years.
In a couple weeks.
In a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So-
Congratulations. Wow,
so
that's
we're
amazing.
trying to master the art of both having a successful marriage and a successful business working together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every day. We have to work at it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great. I think that's our first nugget right from the gate. Every day we got to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage or business, every day we got to work at it. So we try to catch what we call that's a nugget, meaning it's just a good piece of advice.
Mm-hmm.
So far, you guys are the quickest guests to ever throw us a nugget. Congratulations. Let's put that in the record book.
That's part of Jack's strategy.
That's right.
Oh, I see. Jack prepped you. Did he tell you that nugget? No, that's wonderful. That's good. So why don't you just describe to us a little bit about your business and how long you both have been in business?
Our team works out of Keller Real Estate in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So we are real estate agents, realtors, servicing Delaware County, Chester County, Southern Montgomery County, and Northern Delaware. So we have a pretty big geography, which is something that you can do today because of technology. In the past, real estate offices were also, very local, and you had to go to the specific one for a specific neighborhood for the house you want to look at. And with the internet and our ability to be able to get acclimated up to areas, it broadens our zone and our capability of what we cover.
Yeah.
So, and we've been working together as a team for probably about 4 years now. But Jane started out in the real estate, business, and I'll let her explain that.
Yeah, so I've been in the business over 10 years. It's kind of funny because I always wanted to be an agent, but I didn't think I could be one. I'm dyslexic, and I didn't think I would pass the test. So I had a birthday, one of those milestone birthdays with a bunch of girlfriends, working at a job that was sucking the life out of me. And she was saying, Jane, if you do anything you want, what would you want to do? And I go, I'd like to sell real estate. She goes, well, how come you don't? And I'm just like, well, because you have to take this test, and I don't think I passed the exam. She goes, well, how many times have you taken the test? I go, I haven't. In my head, it sounds logical. But when you say it out loud, so after we had this couple of glasses of wine, I was convinced that I was going to go down this path. So, and I'm thankful for Laura Baruch for pushing my butt to take the class and go into it. It really opened up my world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
So you
And I
can
got my
have,
license about 5 years ago. So most of my career has been in IT consulting. I've either worked for large corporations or had my own consulting company. And I had sold that company and was in the process of trying to work out some patent licensing business that I had. And Jane came home. She had been promoted into a manager of a real estate office, came home and said, well, I need to get your license because the position I'm in now isn't going to generate the income that they had kind of promised me. So I need you to, you've been helping me doing the real estate while I was helping her as she was doing her business. She said, you need to get your license. We need to get, on a better track in order to meet this challenge.
Right.
And so I went and got my license. It took about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, got my license, got right into the game, and it's a great fit.
Yeah. It was funny because people kept on saying, you guys should like sell real estate together. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm good doing my own business, But Vince was always a great help over the years. So it really worked out well and it benefited. And I had a book of business that I needed to wanted to keep servicing my clients. And I couldn't do that because I went to a media office. A lot of my clients were out, near the Brandywine River, and people in East Delco won't cross the Brandywine River for some reason. I'm not from this area, but they just don't. Okay. So I was thankful that Vince was willing to take that challenge on. It's been good. So we're very opposite. We seem to be able to balance each other out.
Wow. So it sounds like you guys both have like kind of your own things that you do, but you need both sides. Like you need each other to do what you individually do together to make it as a team, as a whole. That's great. And I love, Jane, I love how you said, like, you kind of talked yourself out of it for a long time without even realizing, thinking that maybe something that held you back really didn't hold you back, because obviously you passed the test, right?
Right. And it was a hard test, but I did. And the other thing, I never thought I could sell anything. I was always in the customer service industry. So when I started selling, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner? I love this. And it wasn't really about selling. It was actually helping people. I loved helping people to wherever they needed to go. And that was my passion, because we volunteer a lot as a family. Even my extended family, my sisters and my parents. So it just was like an extension of just helping people get into where they needed to go and hold our hand through it. And we both do that. We love that about our business.
Wow. That's amazing. So what would you say would be maybe an advantage and possibly a disadvantage of working with your spouse? Because I know, at least for me in my world of insurance, in some way, shape, or form, a lot of my business owners, the spouse or the partner supports them in some way, whether it's doing the books or, just takes over a part of the business that maybe the key spouse just isn't good at or doesn't like doing. And so they tend to support each other in some way, shape, or form. But I find that not a lot of spouses are every day showing up, working in the same business in the same capacity. So for maybe our listeners who could see themselves working with their partner or their spouse in their business, but not quite sure if it could work out because, typically we're together then all the time. So what would you say would be an advantage and then maybe a disadvantage potentially with working with each other?
Here's what I think is an advantage. You've got somebody you can trust and really talk with about some of the significant problems or challenges that a business has. Found in different positions I've had in which maybe I've had a leadership role. A lot of times you feel like you're alone, or there just isn't somebody you can share that information with, and especially because sometimes we're in a competitive situation in the workplace in which if you reveal these vulnerabilities, you run the risk of somebody using it against you. With having your spouse as that confidant and that level of trust, one, you're in this together. Okay, so you can talk about these ideas and these challenges and the problems you're having and how you're going to overcome them, and you're working together as a team doing that. And you can let your vulnerabilities show. You can show your fears or your concerns, or where you think that we need to really focus on something because it's a threat to the business. In an environment that I don't think you can find in other scenarios.
Yeah, the bad side of it is turning it off, because we work all the time. That's our big thing. We learn how to communicate with each other. So if I'm in a mood, I know that I'm not going to ask them something verbally. I'll text it to them because there's no tone in the text. So that type of stuff. And understanding each other's roles, I think, is a big thing with our job too. What do you think, Vince? Like I'm not keen on understanding, or I do understand, but setting up the P&L, doing all that stuff, that's not my favorite thing to do. He loves that stuff. He's a numbers guy. Go for it. I'm more the people person. Stick me into a networking event. I'm loving it. Not so much as events. I'll drag them along with me, so. Right? What else?
Well, exactly.
I don't know if there's anything negative, but.
Well, I think the turning off is tough.
Yeah.
Especially in our business, because people will call with their real estate needs or questions, their convenience. And it's usually either when they get home from work or in their free time, or in a market like we're in now where urgency is becoming very, very important. It's very difficult for us to take a break or turn it off. Even when we go away to want to take 4 hours out and just, go look at the Chesapeake or someplace like that. We're always connected. Somebody can connect to us and they saw this house and they need to see it immediately. And, you don't want to say no, and as an entrepreneur, you always have this voice in the back of your mind saying, if I say no, they won't call me again. Okay. And I'm going to miss that opportunity. And it's a hard thing to get out of your head to turn things down. Being able to not talk about, how we're trying to work through different situations, while we're watching TV or something like that. It's hard.
Right. We actually had to figure out vacations. We usually take vacation between the Christmas and New Year's, because that's usually the slowest time in our business. We keep it on a light simmer, and we normally would do something like a cruise that we can't use our phones. When you're at sea, we're at sea, So
But now we can't cruise anymore.
We can't do that either. But that's usually we've done that. But I think that missing our clients' needs is really hard for us, because we do like helping them, because we are privy to people's private lives and what's going on with them and why they're selling. So if they are calling us, if there is a problem or a reason, and we just don't want to not service them and help. We just want to help them. I don't want them to feel like it's not going to be resolved, right?
People's sense when it has to do with real estate and the movement of people, and they've got a lot of different things going on, their urgency level is always high. It may not be our level of urgency, but in their mind, their need is significant, urgent, and immediate. That's the approach they're coming to us with. And we have to be at least cognizant of the fact that that's where they're coming from. And you throw in a bit of emotion into all of that. And, so we have to be sensitive to that.
Yeah, I would say that good point, on that disadvantage. There's certainly, I can see that huge upside, business owners, entrepreneurs who are including their spouse. I mean, because even if it's not a formal business relationship, so to speak, I mean, if you're starting a business, it becomes your world. It becomes your life. If you have a spouse or a partner, I mean, they're gonna be part of that somehow, some way. So a little bit of balance there. Say, okay, we have to shut it down for some period of time. Massively easier said than done, though. There's no doubt about it. Even if you do with a lot of intention, you just have to. It's just very, very difficult to do that. But I'm glad you addressed that, because you have to be careful with that. I think in relationships, that's for sure, because your identity can start to get wrapped up in work solely. That can be a bit dangerous if you're not careful with it. Again, another nugget, what Jane says, we're not actually selling, but we're helping people. And I think that is such a great mindset for whatever business that you're in. In most cases, if you have that type of mindset that, how can I help people with this business, with this passion, with what I'm doing? I mean, certainly the business I'm in, same way, it's about helping people. It's about helping people make good financial decisions, get better prepared for getting their kids through college or retiring comfortably, or those kind of things. And even Jen, I mean, talk to us a minute about your business, Jen. I mean, it's a helping people business, what you're doing. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, I hear people say all the time, well, I'm not a salesperson. So it automatically shuts down like, well, I can't do this. I can't do that because I'm not a salesperson. But if you change your mindset into, I'm looking to help people or educate people on how to do their hair better, how to make better investments with your money. Then it just changed the whole conversation, and it gives that person confidence to say, you know what, maybe I am a salesperson, but not looking at it like I'm a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
I love to ask this question to a lot of our guests because this is a topic that we talk about often. You know, our industry is commission-based, insurance commission-based. You guys are commission-based when we're talking about financial. If we have any listeners that are thinking about moving from security, quote unquote security, maybe working a 9 to 5, getting hourly, getting salary, and moving into being an entrepreneur, what would be a piece of advice that you would give someone when they're taking a financial step in that direction of going to entrepreneurship?
Financial is huge.
Yeah.
And often people look at certain jobs that may be commission based that they think it's easy. You know, they see you go sell a house and make, you know, so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people that go into any kind of business underestimate how long it takes for you to get revenue. Okay. And they also underestimate how much you need to spend before you ever get to that point where you're generating revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to prepare both your personal finances to say, how long can I go without an income stream coming in?
Right.
As well as how much am I going to have to put into the business before I see $1 of revenue? And I think that is probably the most misunderstood part of anybody getting into any kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
Is lining up and being prepared. When I started my first consulting business, we had some money in the bank and I was able to generate revenue fairly quickly, but I was never able to scale because we couldn't generate enough revenue to allow me to be able to hire. So when I started
On a side note, I was pregnant at the time we started that business. Not like I'm going to hire somebody that's like 6-7 months pregnant.
Well, if you're going to do something, you've got to take the risk all around.
Yeah.
You know? And then we did the second business. I knew that I was undercapitalized the first time, so I went and saw an outside investor who we were able to get them to put money into an entity that hadn't generated zero revenue at that time, but we convinced them of the idea. But it gave us a secure amount of cash, of which then I was able to hire people, build a business, and start developing a revenue stream.
So the National Association of Realtors will tell you that 85% of the realtors will be out of business in 2 years. That's their thing. And the people that go into real estate don't realize they're starting a business. Huge problem. They don't realize they have to invest money into this, in training, the skills they need.
The marketing alone.
We recommend reading the Profit First book for anybody that's going to be an entrepreneur or going into business. A great book to read.
Yeah.
We also do coaching. You need to have coaching. It's to help you do the things you need to do. And so not as a realtor, you have nobody really overseeing what you're doing. You're like on your own. And so having a coach, our coach, we feel like we're going to the principal's office every Friday. So we're making sure we're getting our tasks done. But even when we talk to agents are floundering, and I'm telling them, like, you should think about getting a coach, and then I can't afford it. Well, you can't afford not to. And then we see a ton of people get out because they're just not prepared. They don't realize that they're starting business. They go in, take the course, spend about $1,000 to get going with all their licenses and stuff. And they think, okay, when's my first commission check coming in? And it might be 6 to 7, 8 months before that will happen.
Great. Now that's great feedback, because we talked in a handful of podcasts about when you get ready to start your business, what does that really look like as far as preparing financially? And where will that money come from? Will it come from personal savings? Will it come from an equity in a house? Will it come from investors or family or friends? Or will it come from getting a loan from a bank? And, just what are those different avenues that you need to go, that are available, but also keeping in mind that most people have to take those avenues to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, entrepreneurs take what they do so seriously, because not only is it an emotional investment, but it is a hardcore financial investment as well. And it's so interesting, Jane, that you said, by the way, we did all this when I was pregnant. Talk about taking a risk. Jack moved our entire family while my mother was pregnant with twins to New Jersey in '89, about a month before Jennifer and my brother Joel were born, to an area we've never been, didn't know anyone except my dad's business partner, Dave, and basically showed up and said, we got to make it work. So not only was there, I'm sure, a financial investment at that point, but talking about an emotional investment to say, we have to do this. I have to do this because I just made this sacrifice. And I think that, so it's just interesting when you said, oh, by the way, all this was going on, I was pregnant, that I've often asked my mom, like, I don't know how you just did it. But even my mother will say, your dad had a plan and he had a vision and there was no other option but for it to work. And obviously it did.
One of the things that I think it's very important how it made it work is that, I'm the one who likes to take these chances. I see opportunities and I want to take the chance, but I would not be able to do that if I didn't have the support of Jane to be able to let me do that, because she knew I was putting a lot at risk. And how we're going to be able to provide for a family, how it's going to be able to take care of things if we're going to take these kind of risks, but she was all in as well, and with everything we've done. And with that assurance, I'm able to now focus 100% on trying to get to that success, as opposed to wondering or not having full support back home and trying to satisfy the needs at home and satisfy the needs of the business you're trying to create. When you're starting a business, it's your 100% focus. That if it's not 100% focus, it will not have a level of success. It just can't. And it's going to consume all of your time and everybody else around you that's connected with you.
Well, it consumes the whole family.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure when you were kids, you're still involved in it. Even it was Jack's business. He was doing it. You were all doing it. Even when I started my real estate business, my kids were helping stuff in envelopes, and I would drive, like, okay, I got to put this real estate sign out with me and just throw it out. I mean, the whole family's involved, and it has to be that way or you're just not going to be successful.
100%. I think Jeff and I are sitting here shaking our heads because there are many, many times where, Jack's taking us out to the farm to meet the client because he has to drop something off, and the client's giving us strawberries, or we, or we're here in the office filing papers back when there was filing rooms and such. And just here on a Saturday or so. This is back when Jack did the landscaping. So, we were planting flowers so the office looked nice. So you're absolutely right. It definitely consumes the family. So I want to go ahead and just take a break for just a moment so that we can take, I want to take some time to hear from our sponsors.
Dempsey Weiss & Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com. J Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
All right, and I want to thank our sponsors for being a part of our podcast. So, Jack, I know you are itching for the first question back from break.
Well, I just want to pick up where we kind of left off. I mean, with Vince and Jane talking about the investment in your business. Another thing that I think is important for our listeners and entrepreneurs to understand, and we've talked about this in our prior podcasts, is there's the investment of resources, and then there's this extreme caution that you have to have once you do start to have revenue. Because, one of the things I've found is that people, once they start to make some money, then maybe they've been delaying some lifestyle choices. And next thing you know, it's like, well, now we can do these lifestyle choices or decisions, upgrade the car or put the addition on the house or whatever it may be. And you have to be very careful with that, because again, it's at that point you have to ask yourself, what's the next investment and when do I need to make in my business, to continue to grow and take the business to that next level. And so I'm always talking with newer, especially on the insurance side, is you have to be very careful, because if you start, investing in lifestyle too quickly, you'll see the opportunity that now I need to make another investment in the business, but you're looking at the financials saying, I can't afford it now because I'm making all these payments over here on these toys or lifestyle decisions. So just kind of wanted to just bring that up again. We've done it before, but it's so critical that you have the investment side, like Vince and Jane talked about, and the support, and then also just that caution on lifestyle. Any thoughts on that before we?
Well, I would say, in addition to that, Jack, I think many people forget about the government's role in taxing whatever it is you're making, and our negligence sometimes to set that money aside. So this money's coming in, you think things are doing fine, but the government has a way of finding out how much you make, and they want to take part in that success.
Yeah, they do.
And that, I think, will also, not only do you not have funds necessarily to invest in your business, but they can take the IRS can come through and say, hey, you owe us a ton of money here, and that could really put a damper on things. And all of a sudden now you're scrambling because, like you said, you may have put a lifestyle in place such that you don't have these funds available. They're tied up in payments and things of that nature. And you can find yourself into some trouble. And I think a lot of people, when they start getting into the business and the money starts coming in, they forget about the responsibilities of the taxes they owe, the money they need to set aside, the money they need to put away for a rainy day. For example, like when COVID hit, here in Pennsylvania, we were shut down. The governor shut down all in-person real estate activities from March 19th to May 9th.
60 days.
So that's pretty much 60 days in which you cannot generate any income. And not only can you not generate any income, but you pretty much now have another 60 days after you come out of that for you to cycle back up before you can maybe have some other potential income. So you may now be looking at 160 to 180 day period of time of which there's very little of any revenue coming in, and were you prepared for that, to allow for that possibility of which no one really ever could predict, but the rainy day did come.
Yeah. I think one thing that Vince and I do, we do goals. We have personal goals, we have family goals, and we have business goals. And to sit down and do that every year, to be able to put those goals in place, especially at the end of the year when you see how well you did through the year and what revenue you have and what we're going to do with that revenue and what's the next year. So I think that keeps us in tune with each other, making sure we're both on the same page.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome. I didn't even realize that COVID had affected real estate. COVID had my salon shut down for 3 months with no income, and we were still expected to pay all of our bills. So I think that's a great example, and you don't know that until you go through some things. And I think that's important for our entrepreneurs to know, is that you don't have to know everything before you open a business. Experience is so valuable. So I've never been through something like that. And when COVID first hit, it's like, well, wait a minute, what are we going to do here? And I have to say, 3 months later, going through it, my business got stronger from it. And we made it to the other side where it surprised me. And I know it surprised you, Dad, that how many businesses did not make it through being shut down by the government just purely off financials. So how important is it to build financial backing for the unexpected that's happening in your business? And the strong truly survives those kinds of situations when it comes to business.
We were one of the only states that were not selling real estate.
Oh wow!
The country was for real. We are not considered essential in Pennsylvania, but the other states were, which was really tough. When going on coaching calls and you're seeing, in Texas and Arizona, I mean, they got flares, but they're like cranking out like nothing's changed for them.
Right.
So, but we've seen some agents struggle in our area with this, and talking them off the ledge and trying to support them.
I tell you, you're right. I mean, that when you see those television commercials for these organizations that are supposed to help you, get rid of tax debt, Vince, well, the majority of those people are not people who were employees somewhere that somehow didn't pay taxes through their W-2. they are business owners.
That's right.
That got caught just with what you were talking about, that they just did not realize. And then when they got themselves in a hole, rather than stop digging, they just dug deeper. And then next thing you know, 3 or 4 years of not paying taxes gets caught, and it catches up with them.
And I think some businesses really got hammered on the tax piece because it was happening as, there are some people that say, I know I'm going to pay the taxes. I'm going to work really hard January, February, March. I'll have enough cash to pay the bill in April. And all of a sudden they found out that, well, they can work as hard as they want in January, February, March, but there was no work. There was no income. And so the tax bill came, they've already paid out a ton of money just to stay alive.
Right.
And then find themselves in a world of hurt. And I think we're going to see continued problems from that as that cycles through.
I want to talk about your marketing. Again, I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but I have worked with Vince and Jane. They've helped our family with 3 different properties. They helped me sell a house, helped me buy a house, and helped my daughter and son-in-law buy a house. So I've worked with them, and I've worked with other real estate professionals in the past, and there was no doubt that you guys just brought that extra to the process. I mean, you were there. You understood the process. I mean, it just made it such a great experience. The challenging experience of selling real estate, buying real estate, like you said, it's very emotional. There's a lot going on with it, and you guys just did a fantastic job. So I was super impressed with that. But what I'm more impressed with is what you've done after the sale. After everything was closed, you guys kind of collected your revenue from the deal. You have not left us alone. You have not abandoned us to say, hey, we're, all right, we made so thank you. Call us again if you ever want to do something. No, you continue to connect with us. So talk about that. I think it's just brilliant how you continue to, just reach out to us. We get newsletters. My wife, she gets a birthday. I don't think I've gotten a birthday email yet, but I could be wrong. But I know Lisa's gotten some birthday videos and things like that. So just talk about why you do that and your use of social media, video, and all the things to stay connected.
Well, I think it starts with, we look at all of our clients from an aspect of a relationship. It's not a transaction. We care about you as a person or as a family. We are learning significant aspects of, why somebody wants to move into an area, or why they want to buy a house, or why they need to sell a house. And we personalize that. I mean, we help you through that process. But we also want you to keep informed about what else is going to be helpful to you as a homeowner. There's a lot of aspects to it in which we want to still maintain that relationship because we care about you. And we hope that as a result of that, if somebody were to ask you, if somebody you knew was thinking about buying or selling a home or property, and they asked you for who would you recommend as a realtor, that our name would come to the top of your mind because of the impression that we have made. Like you said, we're trying to make it a great experience. And buying and selling a real estate is sometimes challenging. It's not sometimes the most pleasant experience. We try to minimize the unpleasantness of it, and we try to maximize those that are joyful and pleasant, full of pleasance.
Right. We like our clients. So we do client events. So I'm all about the social thing, as you can tell, right? So it's great to see our clients, and we've actually had so many events. Our clients come to see each other. They've made friends and connected, which is fun.
The nice thing about having these client events is that they all have us in common, and we have put them together in different aspects, and they can see. They can talk about their experience when they're buying a house, their experience selling a house, and how we've helped them. And like Jane said, they've made friendships. They kind of look forward to seeing each other at the client event. Say, hey, I saw you last Thanksgiving. How are the kids doing? And things of that nature. We do that to maintain a relationship. The marketing we do is to constantly stay in touch. 85% of most people would say that use a realtor say that they would use that same realtor again if they could remember their name. That is going to be an important thing for us, is that we need to make sure that you understand we're in this business, but it isn't just about selling houses.
Mm-hmm.
If you see our marketing is trying to inform people.
Mm-hmm.
We like the informing and educating of people. Tell me a little about what's going on to understand how real estate affects our bigger economy, or how our bigger economy is affecting real estate, because it's a big asset people have. Tell me how, as a homeowner, I can do things to my home that's going to be additive in the value. You know, I can prioritize what I want to do to my home, but what are the things that may be the best approach to improving it? I'm thinking about moving to another area, relocating. You know, we have a network of people around the country, like-minded realtors who do business like we do, that we can connect you with. So you can have the same experience you had here when you're going off to another area, or you have a friend in another part of the country. We can connect with that. So we're trying to provide additional value that it's over and above just the actual transaction of that particular moment.
Yeah, like for July 4th, I was delivering out little sparklers to all our clients because, you know, I was doing it, and I happened to stop over my client's house, and she invited me, and she's telling me I want to redo my kitchen. And I'm like, what's wrong with your kitchen? I don't like my cabinets. I'm like, have you ever thought about painting them? So I know you guys have talked designed by Daphne. We use her a lot. I go, why don't you have Daphne come on over, look at your kitchen, see what she can do. So Daphne painted her kitchen, or cabinets, transformed the whole thing. I mean, so she probably saved, what, $30,000 by just for me dropping over a little packet of sparklers, because I just happened to be there, and she's like, come on in. So we do a lot of that, just to ask them what's going on with their properties. We are connect with different vendors that we've vetted, that we know will give them great customer service, and we've seen what the trends are that are going out there too.
I think another part of the marketing that makes us a little different is that the client is the hero, okay? We didn't help them sell their house. We didn't help them buy their house. They sold their house, okay? They bought their house. We gave them the tools. We gave them the understand the process. We guided them as they went through that journey. So in the end, they are the hero of that event. Okay, if you see how we position and talk about homes are being sold, we talk the client story. You know, they were looking to move to Florida. They had a place that's being built, but COVID hit. We need to find a way to be able to market their home. You know, but they listened to us, and they got the home ready. And as soon as we were able to do our business, we got the video and everything done, and we were able to sell it and accomplish what they were going to do. And now they're living comfortably down in Florida. And they're so happy they made this move down there. Because of their work and their efforts they did to get the home ready and follow along the process, we were able to successfully get it sold and achieve their outcome.
Oh, there's a lot of good stuff in there. My. You know, one of the things on that client event, I love what you said there, Vince, was, you know, with networking or these client events, is they all have us in common. They all have us in common. And I think that's a great way to, you know, connect with people. The other thing that I think you guys do a fantastic job with is, with some videos is, you do let people into your lives a little bit. You do let them in, you kind of do some videos that are, they're fun. I know, and just with, how you guys are interacting and on vacation or things like that. So you let people into your lives, which again is just very relational, so I think that there's a lot of brilliance in that, because, at the end of the day, that's really, we're most comfortable doing business with people that we have a relationship with. And in today's world, in some ways it's harder because we're just running like crazy and we're doing all this stuff. And then when we get home, we pull in our driveway or pull in our garage and shut the garage door, and then we get in our houses. So it's kind of harder that way. But also technology, also is allowing us then to be relational, because we can connect through Zoom. We can connect these in these different ways and kind of let people into our lives. So again, I think you really do a great job with that. And then another nugget is the client is the hero. I love that, and I just think that that's something that so many businesses could really adapt, is how, just ask that question, how can what I'm doing with my business, how can my customers or my clients walk away feeling like they're the hero here?
Mm-hmm.
That's really insightful.
If you read story branding, and the author escapes me right now, but if you look at any kind of real story, there's the hero in the story who has some sort of challenge and he's got some sort of flaw or weakness, but then there's this guide, right? There's this Yoda, or somebody similar to that, who's got some wisdom or challenges the hero and tells them what they need to do, and if you follow along and overcome these obstacles, in the end you will achieve your objective or your goal. The Yodas really don't get a whole lot of play or promotion and all that, but that's okay, because they're really the behind the scenes things, and that's really how we are.
Yeah,
that's what we like to be behind the scenes and promoting up and getting our clients through this challenge and encouraging them along, and we're behind the scenes taking care of a lot of the different roadblocks, and there's a lot of different entities and behind the scenes activity in real estate that can get in the way, but we try to keep that sheltered from the client. We want the client to say, here, we need you to do this, and they follow along and do that, and we're moving along down the path. And they all need to know about some of the stuff going on in the weeds that is just going to be a distraction.
Well, I know, and you might not want me to throw this out there because you might not want to be doing this again, but when I was selling my house, Vince said, we have to change the light fixtures. They look beautiful. I know you and Lisa love them, but that's not the fixtures, that sell today. Mm-hmm. So we need to go through and change the light fixtures. Well, there's one thing to telling somebody you have to do that, but there's another thing to show up early on a Saturday morning with his tool belt and walk into the house and help me change them. And that's what Vince did. He actually came in, and we got on the, something that would have taken me all day by myself. He knocked several hours off by showing up with a screwdriver and say, well, here, I'm going to help you change these light fixtures around. And so just stuff like that.
We do that a lot.
We do a lot.
We do that a lot, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, good. I was hoping I wasn't setting the bar too high.
No. It could be for anything. Like even like maybe some like a woman's a widow, and she's got to do a wire transfer and she's never done it. Like I'll meet her at the bank, drive up there where it is, go through it, make sure it's all right, and make her feel confident that what she's doing is correct. Whatever they need, whatever I can do to hold their hand and make the process easier. That's what we do.
I know you do, because you did it in our situation. So I know that those are the kind of things that you guys do. And, I know we're running out of time here, but I do have one more question. And this is the business of podcast. So maybe if you could just share one thought when we've talked about this, in the business of real estate, but in that business of what was the one thing that maybe took you most by surprise doing the business of real estate?
One of the things that I think for myself is how few agents and the broker environment, how little time they spend educating agents about running the business part of real estate. Most are focused about getting the agent or getting somebody licensed so they can get them, under their brokerage. But very few spend the time educating these people on how to develop a business and run it like a business and be cognizant and think first as a business person, then as a realtor. That's my biggest surprise.
Right. I think majority of the agents out there don't look at this as a business. Because even though I was a manager, they get their license like, well, congratulations, you just started a business. And they're like, what? No, it's just even giving the basics of what they needed to start. But they don't have that. I mean, I think the other thing that really surprised us how much we needed coaching when we went into it. We really didn't think we needed it. But I'm glad we did, because that's really helped us take it to the next level. And it helps us work better and communicate together better. Don't you think, Vince?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot we don't know, but we can take advantage of the fact that coaches are coaching other people who are doing things better. A lot of the ideas that we implement are a result of, being guided and coached on trying to implement that, especially when we see things that may be taking place in California. Many trends in the country go from west to east. And so we can see activity going on in California and the western states and say, we know this is coming. It may not be here in our area immediately, but this is a trend that's coming. And if we start putting some things in place to be ready for that, we can actually be ahead of the trend as it hits here on the East Coast.
Like, for example, COVID, when we were shut down, we already had everything in place before we went live. Because the coaches we used were in California. We were talking to other agents all over the country, what they were doing, what they had to do. So we had the hand sanitizer, we had the mask, we had the gloves, we had all the systems in place. So when we went live, we were live and we were out there. And we weren't fumbling around like other agents.
We were seeing how they were selling virtually.
Oh,
so they were able to sell virtually, and we put a lot of systems in place and a lot of mechanics to allow us to be able to do that. We've sold them homes virtually, of which the clients didn't want anybody really in the house, and we were able to sell the house, actually engage with the client, go under contract, do the staging all virtually, and sell the home that was viewed via an agent doing FaceTime, with her buyer in Virginia, and was able to sell the property that way. We learned that because we saw what was taking place in existing parts of the country, and we started putting that in place while we were shut down. So while we were shut down, we weren't sitting around saying, oh, woe is me. We were revamping all of our business, all of our technologies, and getting everything prepared, saying once that goes back on, we're ready to go. And if we get shut down again,
we're ready.
We're okay.
We're ready.
We can still sell every home we put on the market now. We've got situated such that if they were to shut us down immediately, we could still sell that house.
Well, that's good. And I mean, I think that, what you were saying on some of our prior guests, that's probably, one of the consistent things that they've said. I mean, Daphne, that was hers, having a mentoring relationship, a coaching relationship, where they were able to, somebody's kind of taken them under their wings, so to speak, or we had one business owner. She had a coach. She was able to find an investor. So having those people in your business life is very important, because again, there's just so much to learn, and it's the old adage, learn from other people's mistakes. That's the definition of being a genius. So, well, listen. You guys have been great. Really, thank you so much. So,
thank you. It's been a great opportunity.
Great spending time with you guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like we could keep going on and on and on. So maybe we'll have to do a part 2. How about that?
Sounds good.
Well, thank you both for joining us. And I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in today. And so until we can talk to you guys again, be safe. Bye.
We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey and Associates and J Faith Hair Studio.